Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. Please listen to this presentation as you would a radio broadcast. In this essay, I'd like to talk about something that caught me by surprise, which is the amount of administration staff and other staff that employees that work at universities, and the ratio of administration staff to students. Now, I thought the ratio would be somewhere in the region of one administration employee at the university for every 25 or 30 students, or somewhere in that general range, because we're talking about adults here, not like preschool children where you need a certain tight ratio to look after them. So anyway, much to my surprise, the ratio at one of the smaller universities in Australia that is about 1 to 9 ratio. So one administration employee for every 9 students, but that's just the administration employees. That doesn't include the faculty, the teaching staff. Also doesn't include the army of consultants and other people that are employed, and the various other officials and Department of Education type officialdom that are also involved. And now, so it took me quite by surprise. So, if we add in all the various other employees that are external to the university, external consultants and these sorts of things, and then the ratio is around 1 to 5. So one administration or one employee in the government, so it's partially, so effectively a government employee, one employee per 5 students. And you've got, you're kidding me, right? But this is how it is. So just on the surface, you'd say, well, this is ridiculous. What do all these people do? So I had a little look around online and found a couple of interviews where a reporter or somebody was asking the university president or chancellor, and they've got different names for the head cheese at the university, and they say, well, what do all these people do? What do all these administration people do? Oh, fuck, I don't know. And nobody knows. You can't find anyone who knows what all these people do. Now, at the same time as there's this incredible ratio, there's also various university heavies, the upper managerial class saying that, oh, we can't find people. There's not enough people. We need lots more. The student needs are such that we have to easily double the amount. What is it? They want a ratio of 1 to 1, one student for every employee. So it's insane. So there's clearly thousands of people on the payroll that aren't doing anything. There are people that do real work there. Now, you can say, well, it's only shuffling paper back. Well, it doesn't matter. They're still there doing something. But there's also vast numbers of people where nobody knows what they do. They never seem to turn up for work, but they exist as nonetheless well-paid employees or consultants. For example, there are massive diversity and inclusion departments at universities. The job pays very well. There's a mid-sized university in Sydney where the director of diversity is paid $500,000 a year. What do they do? Well, again, nobody knows. But that diversity department sort of has to exist for the wokeness quotient. And so you've got all these people in. There's over 100 people in the diversity department, and again, no one knows what they do. Are they there to watch out for, I don't know, anti-trans activities? I don't know. What are they? No one knows. But anyway, they're there. Now, other comments have been made. Well, so a lot of students come from overseas, and they can't speak any English, so we have to have lots of interpreters on hand, and that accounts for a lot of these. Well, hey, stop. You mean people that can't speak a word of English are given a student visa to come and study a course in English in an Australian university, and they need interpreters to do everything for them? What? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. Can they speak English when they go back to wherever they come from? How are they able to get their degree if they can't speak English? So there's a lot of strange sort of things going on, but just in the wider scheme of things, the ratio of administration staff to workers has changed, to students has changed hugely over the years. Certainly since going back to well, not only college days, but when I was in the workforce, I was doing a lot of working for a company that did a lot of business with universities, and we made a lot of we spent a lot of time there, and the ratio of people, the administration staff, the IT department for the whole university could be 10 people, whereas now there could be hundreds of people. So not only has the number of employees in administration increased incredibly out of sight, but also the salaries have changed. So that a university, the head of a university, is now paid 10 to 15 times more. Before, so say the head of a university was getting paid 3 times the average wage. So today it's, say, 17 times plus the average wage. So not only has the amount of employees increased, but the pay of university employees relative to the average wage, the pay has improved substantially. So there's a difference as well. Similarly, universities have become tightly meshed into the big end of town in terms of money, in terms of real estate, and so on. So university people who are influential in university have access to lots of excellent real estate deals, buying property for very distressed knockdown prices and then being able to sell it on to cashed up Chinese investors for big bucks. All these sorts of things are going on as well. So the upper echelons of the university have been drawn into the corrupt globalist machine, if I can phrase it that way. Now, in addition to that, because the tenure is good, the job reliability and job for life is good in certainly for certain jobs in the university. I mean, not if you're a casual employee, of course, but so the amount of people who are the amount of well-paying jobs that a university now creates that once did not create, the amount of well-paying jobs means that the political class, the power, the glitterati, the socialite class, now want those jobs, those well-paying, prestigious jobs at universities. They want those jobs for their friends and their relatives. So they've now become, there's a massive patronage machine, political patronage machine that exists, or socialite patronage machine that exists in universities, where the universities are under constant pressure by this or that influential politician. My daughter wants a job. It has to pay well. It has to involve no work at all. It has to sound prestigious and has to involve lots of international travel at the university's expense or the taxpayers' expense. And so jobs are being created by the shitload, only to be gift delivered to, again, influential politicians or influential socialites. And it's now considered quite prestigious. I'm the director of such and such at the university, and you go, wow, ooh. And that the job pays well above the average wage. Doesn't require you to attend or do anything or turn up. Maybe you turn up for a meeting once a month or something like that. But it gives you entree into lots of the best parties around town, lots of the embassy parties in the capital, and people want you to attend their social functions. Maybe you make a speech here or there, and that's it. And those jobs are in big demand, and the universities are able to deliver them, create them, and deliver them. So we've got a patronage class there, which is, in my view, a form of money laundering. The more and more people. That's the one thing about globalization, where it sort of falls down, because it automatically collapses into the crony economy system of doing things, where everybody wants a prestigious, well-paid job that involves doing nothing. And globalization, as long as you spout the ideology, globalization purports to deliver these sorts of opportunities to those sort of people who have become, they used to use their own money to swan around and look important. Now they steal the taxpayers' money to do it. So they've become a professional parasitic class, and the universities are funding and subsidising this parasitic class by across Australia by the hundreds of thousands. Um, so there are a whole bunch of things. Now we look at if you look at the woke side of things, again, the diversity departments and the feminist departments, the explosion in NGO infiltration into the universities, all those people that are running around there, and they're given spaces and offices and facilities in the universities, the NGOs, the activist NGOs, and they're also present in the infiltration of the students' unions, all that sort of thing. So that the things go actually further than that, because the foreign students make up, depending on whose numbers you're looking at, between 25 and 35% of all the students in Australia. Some claims that the numbers are even higher than that. And these are full fee paying students. These aren't for the poor peasants from the third world. They're from the rich set of the third. Even the most dirt poor country in the world still has some of the richest people in the world. Pakistan, a dirt poor country, still has some of the richest, the Aga Khan and those sort of guys, still has some of the richest people in the world are in these poor countries. Indonesia and so on, the same. And they all want to send their children. It's a bit of a rite of passage for these poor third world countries to send their children to first world universities. It's like a badge of honor and this sort of thing. Send their children to first world universities and get paid, and they pay very handsomely for that. But as the rich Brahmin Indians make it very, very clear, hey, I'm here. I'm come here to buy a degree. I'm paying you $200,000 a year for this master's or PhD or whatever the fuck the degree is. I'm paying you this money to the universities. I expect a fucking degree at the end of it. Don't talk to me about passing exams or getting my assignments in on time or doing my essays. That's bullshit. Don't care about that. I'm giving you this money so that you will give me a prestigious bit of paper. That's it. And I might party, I might have a good time. That's my business. You're getting the money. I want the fucking degree. And so the universities have got a policy, certainly to the extent I'm aware of it anyway. We've got a policy where don't offend these rich fee-paying, top dollar fee-paying students from some third world shit. I don't offend them. And don't hold them to any rigorous standard of education. Just give them the fucking degree and take the money. And that's the gig. So there are thousands upon thousands of students from overseas, again, primarily third world countries, not exclusively, but primarily third world countries, and their view, because they come from these very corrupt societies, their view is we are paying you for, it's how it would be in their own home country. By the way, to them, it's nothing different from how they would behave, in India or Pakistan. We're paying the money and we're paying for the degree. When we give you money, we're not paying for an education. We're paying for that bit of paper. You're going to fucking give it to us. Now, it goes beyond that. If there is any lecturer that maybe is attempting to hold the students to a standard or even being lenient with, say, look, you handed in, Ram, you handed in this essay. It just doesn't cut it. What I'm going to do is I'll give it back to you and I'll give you another week to brush it up. Now, Ram's got no intention of doing any work on this. He's busy having a good time. But there's nothing a few $1,000s in an envelope can't solve. So it's also introduced, vast levels of corruption into the education system that I'm not suggesting everyone does accept these bribes, by the way. I'm not. But even in junior school, some of the wealthier Chinese people think nothing of handing over a few $1,000s to even a junior school teacher so their kid can get, the student of the week or student of the month or something like that, get their name up on the board and that sort of thing. They've got no hesitation over throwing money around for those sorts of things. And the same, if not more so, well, clearly more so in the higher stakes university game. So we're looking at a situation that's collapsed into idolatry and corruption and where standards have just been lowered. We need these foreign fee-paying students because we've now got a massive cost structure. But if the universities were to come back to what is our mission is to offer a rigorous education for the brightest kids in our society, then the entire complexion of the university would suddenly change, and all these cozy do-nothing jobs by all the the parasite class, that would all go. The big bucks for the university chancellors that swan around, swagger about like the heavy hitters, that would all go, and it would come back to the core mission as indeed it once was. So, I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. When you realise just how many people are employed by the universities, they've become sort of, city-states, all living off the tax, primarily living off the tax, but they become city-states. Now, in addition to that, Western governments have agreed to underwrite whether it be through loans, soft loans, whatever you want to call it, student loans, underwrite the cost of an education. Now, that really that's probably money well spent if you're subsidising the brightest kids in society, because they're going to go on to start up businesses, invent the rocket to the outer space, or discover the cure for cancer. That's what those bright people do. But this is not what's happening. Well over 3/4 of the students at Western universities today are just low IQ flunkies, black lesbians, all the whole thing. And they're being gifted places in university when they're never going to do anything more than sweep floors and be a barista at the local cafe. That's going to be the extent of their lifetime career achievements, because they always had an IQ of 90 and nothing's changing. So the amount of kids at university who are getting government underwritten loans or even direct subsidies, that's artificially transferred vast sums of money into the university system, which is just being wasted and parasited away by, again, the aforementioned parasite class. I would argue that this is a massive money laundering scheme and has almost nothing to do with education anymore. Now, there will be exceptions, of course, but I see this in the kids, the young people that I interview for jobs, where the straight white males still are achieving the standard, but effectively every other minority group is being gifted affirmative action degrees, and the debasement of education as a result is diabolical. I first noticed this in the United States when I first went there to open up this company I was working for. We had to open up a couple of offices in the United States, and when you put out adverts in the local paper and this sort of stuff, and this is pre-internet when I first went, the resumes, the CVs come in, and you're selecting who you think are the best qualified. And I was amazed at how many people, when I was looking at these resumes, how many people had a degree and a master's or 2 degrees or a PhD. And I thought, wow, these people are super well educated. In Australia, there's nothing like this. You don't come across people with PhD. There's hardly anyone has got a PhD. And woke was alive and well in the United States, some years before it came to Australia. But so I would get these people in for an interview to meet, or you'd even have a preliminary telephone chat with them, just see sort of where things were going. And, and I was surprised that people who had 2 degrees who were still illiterate. If they came from any minority class, they could claim to be black or Hispanic or lesbian or something. Any minority group, classified protected class minority group, then they'd been gifted a degree they clearly and manifestly had not earned, and yet they were taking on student loans, to go through, just attend a university and be gifted a fake bullshit affirmative action, diversity degree that they couldn't possibly have earned under any status or situation of merit. And I was quite taken aback by this. That person after person was coming in with these supposedly impressive kick-ass credentials, PhDs and the like, masters and so on, which, given my Australian perspective on things, meant that these people would be highly educated. I'd be shaking before the interview started. Holy crap! I'm going to sit down and interview a PhD. Whoa! and then realize this person can't even fucking read or write. So it just indicated to me the people who are getting PhDs in the United States. I mean, not all of them, but certainly any minority group, that the PhD was the equivalent of a junior high school diploma in Australia at the time in terms of educational sort of standards and outcomes. So that's it. So that's where we are at universities. The universities, the ratio of parasite employees to students is just off the charts, and no one knows what these many tens of thousands of administration employees do. Many of them never turn up. Many of them are just invented or created jobs specially made for a parasite class, and on it goes. You've been a Tacitus today. You've Pushback Channel. Thank you for listening.